So we are here at the Springer Opera House in Foley Hall, getting ready for the haunted ghost tour.
Springer Haunted Tour, something like that.
Yeah, can't remember the exact name. I'll look it up in a minute. But we're right now in the waiting period here in Foley Hall, which there's not much in here other than
just an empty room if you wanted to give a.
Yeah, we've got several
artwork,
paintings and
Shakespearean
whatnot.
artwork.
There's a lot of people here too already. Not a whole lot in here right now, but obviously nothing's going on. We're just having this tour. We had it postponed today because of the Hurricane Michael that came by. I think we're getting ready here, so we'll just conclude it right now. Yeah, same guy.
All right. So the first room that we're about to be entering is the Broder room. This room has original front door. So as we pass through it, be gentle with it. That is why the handle is so much lower. Interesting fact before we get started. A lot of the things in this building are a little shorter than you might imagine, especially in places which haven't been renovated as heavily. People used to be a lot shorter than we are now. We've gotten considerably taller, which is what really adds to some of the unsettling feelings that people feel. Another story before we go right in there. Directly across the street is the law offices of a man named Dr. Thomas Brewer. He was a prominent civil rights activist here in the early 1700s the late 1800s. Now, he cared deeply about desegregating and making a better place, and he saw a policeman beating a black man out on the street. He was standing there with his business partner, Raymond Flowers, who also shared the offices with him just above. They had a very heated argument about whether or not that was okay, whether or not that was right. It got so heated that two other policemen were called to the scene, and they pulled the men apart, sent them back up to their offices to settle it like men in a civil discussion. And they seemed to have resolved their differences. Nothing was heard from them for about a week. And then Raymond Flowers shot Thomas Brewer on that street 7 times. They don't know why. He claimed it was self-defense, and because they were alone on the street, there was nothing anybody could say against it. But then a year later, in his offices, he took his own life with the same gun, which many considered to be an admission of guilt. It's an interesting place, Columbus is. Anyway, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sorry. No, it's a working bar. That's the only reason. Nobody will let me out. So these stained glass were also donated from an older bar in the area. Not the same bar that was in Savannah. This was one that was directly across the street. There is a tunnel that leads from the Springer over to the Rankin Den across the street. That also used to be a big hotel.
I'm glad that is 100%. Saloon bar. Yeah.
It's not. But eventually.
Pop used to tell us
Yeah.
about his house. There, you go past along the road, there's measuring.
Huh.
That was a dam up there, and then there was, that's where they're at now. That's still Chris Cannon. You can always tell because they got see the stain, see the coal burning? That's the shaft for the football.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Watch out, there's something on the floor. Oh, I got that too. This is quite a little maze here going through this area. Another one. Some kind of stuff there. Okay.
You have a black eye.
All I heard was Dolly.
This is what the spring originally used to look like. You can see the various things that have changed about it. At the very beginning, you can see there were staples all around the front. They had to remove those because cars and staples are not the same thing. But take your time, look around here for just a second. Now, this is one of those places where pictures are totally appropriate. Feel free to take some pictures and stuff. I am going to be standing right over here. Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
Things they found in the walls while renovating, which meant that some guy was thinking slip it in the wall. Oh, yeah. Now we have it on display.
Never find it.
Never find it, never find it.
Yep. Right there on the end.
Sure.
This is Edwin right here. We'll talk about him as well. Edwin has a
All right, so we have now officially finished the Haunted Springer tour, and this was very interesting, I thought.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You got to go into parts of the Springer that not every average person gets to go see unless you work there or a part of it.
And you get to do it at night, walking through some of the stuff was lit, but there were some parts that were pretty dark. I particularly, and there were a lot of parts that were really good, but to me, the part that I really enjoyed most was when it felt like I was going through the old parts of the church up there in the attic there, and it was the dressing area where they had all the costumes and whatnot.
And we went through the dressing. Well,
very
not the dressing,
narrow.
but all the costume areas.
And it was like we were going through a maze, whatnot, because we were just going this way,
And
that way,
Asher's
this way.
voice, it was Asher again, our tour guide. When we were walking through those costumes and he's talking, he just sounded like he was so far away too, and he was just on the other side of the clothes rack.
His voice doesn't carry very well, I guess, in that area. But yeah, that was neat. I mean, going upstairs there on the 3rd floor and whatnot, and the 2nd floor, the balcony and whatnot was pretty neat too. But definitely that part was my favorite of it. He definitely had a lot of interesting stories. Some of them, of course, were related to the tour that we were at before, which, you know, that's a good tour. That was enjoyable, whatnot. But, you know, when you're kind of exploring the outdoor area, you can do that anytime. So basically, you know, you get the stories and whatnot, and that's fun, but you probably wouldn't do that again. With this, I'd see myself doing this probably every year if they offered it. I mean, you were talking about maybe going with
Randy.
Yeah.
Because I know that he would really like that.
There are, I think, 2 or 3 more. I can't remember. Let's see, 17, 24. Yeah, there should be 3 more. There's one on Halloween, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. So, yeah, you can do that. And they're all on Wednesdays. So, I don't know if they're going to do it every year because I don't know when was the last time they did this.
I haven't heard anything from like years, it seemed like.
I think this is something that they've started this year with this this particular the Columbus food tours, I think is what they're called. That they've started doing this year, so this is kind of a newer thing. Hopefully they'll continue it through because I think it's been pretty popular in all the events, and I think particularly the Springer tour will be something that can stay popular for a lot of years. People would look forward to. So definitely something they'd want to do. I don't know about, you know, Wednesday night went on a Thursday night since it got postponed, like I said before.
Due to weather conditions.
But, you know, some people that I know say, I can't go on Wednesday, so for obvious reasons. But
it's just really hard, I think, to do on a weekend when people probably could do it more, but it kind of hurts the Springer because that's when they usually have their shows.
Well, see, they can't do it anyways because they've got their Haunted History tour going on
through the weekend as well.
So they can't do both at once.
Yeah.
So, anyway, any final thoughts on that you want to?
Just, did you have any? You said your favorite area was that staircase area.
The staircase going through all the costumes and whatnot, the little maze. That was neat. I got a little bit of footage from that. You might see a little bit of that. But there's a lot of parts, obviously, I couldn't do because, you know, they didn't want a whole lot of stuff going on in there. And I don't like to reveal everything that's going on because, you know, people are like, oh, I saw it already. It's like, no, so I don't want to do that. It's also kind of awkward in some places to be able to do it because you're not going to see much.
You have to be very mindful about where you step and everything. Just even when you were careful, I was like trying to be so careful not to touch too much of anything because I was so afraid of disturbing something.
Well, so much stuff like in that.
Like in the
clothing area, there was no way.
Stuff everywhere. There was no way that
there's no way that you could go without brushing against something because it's way too tight to not brush something. Just as long as you weren't actively trying to touch it, I guess.
Yeah, like,
just walking by it.
Touch.
Yeah.
No, that's a no.
Like, ooh.
Touching, picking up something. No.
Did you say what your favorite area was?
I kind of liked it when we went, you know, from the 2nd story of the balcony when we went out onto the balcony. Just because, you know, it kind of reminded me of like Tales from the Crypt in a way.
Oh.
I don't know that.
Which part was that?
I think, well, you know, just when we started going out onto the stairs, and then we started going back down the stairs, and then Asher started talking about one of the paintings. And then we kind of looked at it, I was like, God, this is so reminiscent of Tales from the Crypt episode.
That area where instead of going up, we went down?
I had 2 creepy feelings, and there weren't exactly areas where you would think, because one area when we were on the 3rd balcony area, that part where that little compartment that Asher showed us, and he said, well, we're not going down there. that I got like a very creepy vibe. I was like, what the heck is this? And I didn't like it. And then when we were in the lobby, I got a pretty creepy feeling. And then when Asher told us, I was like, oh, okay, that's why I feel creepy about this, and I didn't even know about it.
Yeah. That was weird that he pointed right to where we were at.
Yeah, I was like,
Specifically, he was pointing at me, it seemed
I
like.
felt awful stepping where I was just like, I feel like that's sacrilegious in a way.
Well, everybody steps there because that's like, common area.
I know. Now we know. And y'all will find out too if you decide to venture into. Anyways, it's just very cool
Yeah.
in there.
Highly recommended if you're in the area, and it's available online if you want to check it out. So we'll see you.